This sales funnel took me 10 years and probably over $50,000 in lost deals to perfect. I'm about to show you the exact system that transformed me from struggling freelancer who knew Google Ads but couldn't get clients to running a six-figure agency. Every step you're about to see survived a real-world testing with hundreds of clients. Hey, I'm Dan from Online Labs. 10 years ago, I was almost good at Google Ads, but absolutely terrible at business. I could optimize campaigns like nobody's business, but I was losing proposals left and right, dealing with nightmare clients, chasing payments, and honestly just surviving month to month. Sounds familiar? I had to learn the hard way that being good at the craft doesn't automatically make you good at running a business. This funnel you're looking at isn't some kind of theoretical framework I designed out of my head. It's what emerged from decades of mistakes, failed pitches, difficult, hardcore clients, and slowly figuring out what actually works. Today, I'm walking you through the first half of this system: the awareness, lead generation, and qualification stages that stopped me from wasting time on unqualified leads. But here's the thing. The real magic happens in the second half, which I'll tell you about it at the end of this video. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're about to dive into sales funnel. I think this is one of the most important things for anyone who wants to succeed, either if it's freelancer or an ad agency. If you want to scale your business in digital marketing, you have to use frameworks. And this framework helped me personally achieve six-figure business. But of course, I've made probably tons of mistakes along the way. So with this funnel, you'll be able to save your time, your money, because you won't have to do those mistakes too. In this funnel, we have 5 important steps. So let's cover them. First of all, we have the awareness stage. In the awareness stage, we're trying just to create awareness around us, our business, and the service that we are offering. At this stage, people are not ready to buy. They don't even have a real interest in our service. So this is the first step. And here I like to call this a cold audience. We're getting cold audience that is not necessarily interested in our service. Moving on to the second step, here we already try to create interest. And here we're converting cold audience into relevant, let's say, hot audience. In this stage, we're trying to get them to leave their details, become a potential leads that we can sell our services to. After creating interest, we have consideration. Consideration is the stage between the interest and leaving the details. In this stage, they are actually considering the service, but also checking the alternatives. What are your competitors doing? What are your other ad agencies are offering there in the market? What are their prices? What are your prices? So they're trying to find someone who meets their demand, their specific criteria. Here there are like 4 main points, and we're going to cover them in the funnel. Then we have the sales process. The sales process starts from the moment that the person left the details. So he became lead, we added it to our CRM, and from there we're trying to create sale through discovery call, Zoom meeting, sending price proposals, dealing with the changes in the contract, in the agreement. That's what happens in the sales process. This is my favorite part, but it's also could be like very complicated. Luckily, you can automate this. If you apply tools like Make or Zapier, you can make this process very easy for you. And the last one is something that's relevant in case you have clients on retainer. For example, if you offer Google Ads service, then you're charging your clients on a monthly basis. You have retainer clients and you want to keep them as long as possible. Most of the time, like most agencies, based on our knowledge and our insights, the retainer process can be somewhere around 6 to 12 months. That's what agencies are making today. With our approach, we are able to get clients above 12 months, even more than 2 years. And I'm going to share exactly what are the most important indicators to look for when you're trying to get clients for long term. And also there is an upsell. So for the current retainer clients, you can upsell additional services if you have. For example, you're offering Google Ads. At some point, the client needs landing page. Can you make landing page? Perfect. Can you make a design for the banners, which is not part of Google Ads? Then you have that one. Can you make automation through Zapier for that business? So there are many, many points where you can upsell your service. And a lot of businesses, especially freelancers, they neglect this stage. They don't even pay attention to upselling. They just do their service and afterwards finish, send the client away, and that's that. No, upsell is very important because you spend so many steps here to bring that client to the last stage. Making that client to spend more is actually way easier than getting a completely different new client from the cold audience. All right, so that's for the 5 steps. Now let's jump into the funnel itself. So I'm going to scroll down. First of all, let's look at the blue colored items. So as you can see, I made a separation by color here following the funnel that we discussed previously. So first of all, we have the awareness stage. And here there are 4 main channels that I use to get new clients. First channel is content, and this is something that is long term, but is super valuable, and it brings you in, like based on my experience, I think it's the best customers that I ever had. In the content section, we have newsletter. Your business needs to have newsletter. Send emails to people who leave their email on your website, and not necessarily sales content, not at all. What I mean by that is that you need to provide them with value. The more value you provide, the better. So if you have articles, something that can be beneficial for them, you can use newsletter to do that. And on top of that, if you have sales, you can use newsletter like Black Friday, for example. That's an excellent channel for that. Next, we have social media. So social media is a big channel. You have here TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, etc., etc. So many, many different channels. Which one you should go with? Here, it gets tricky because it really depends on your type of audience. For specifically digital marketing, I find that LinkedIn, Instagram, and sometimes TikTok are the best social media channels to use. But you can also try other channels as well. And what I mean by putting content on social media means that you need to post frequently on those channels that you have selected. And frequently, I don't mean like once a week. You need to post once a day. And if you cannot commit to that, then don't start with that channel. And that's the way it is nowadays. You cannot post less than once a day and expect a good result because the market is saturated, you have a lot of competition, and you need to prove yourself, and that's how you do it. The third channel is website, blog, content, and search engine optimization. Very valuable for long term. You should start blog on your website, like you have to. There's no other way. You cannot say no to that. Nowadays, you can use AI tools to your advantage that can help you with basically all of the channels that we're discussing at the moment. They can help you with the content, but don't make it automatic. Don't let AI write all the content for you, because in SEO, Google can penalize you. On social media, their algorithm can penalize you. They're not stupid. They can find AI generated content. So you should be careful with it. Use it as a tool, as something to help you out. I don't know. I'm not native English speaker, so I use AI to fix my grammar, fix my mistakes. That's how I use AI. And I find this very, very helpful because I don't need now somebody to pay for always checking spelling mistakes and grammar. Next, we are moving to ads. A big area here. You need to advertise your business. And organic, as good as it sounds, it is not enough, especially at the first stage when you don't have social media presence. Your blog is just starting out. You need immediate results. You need clients. You need income to maintain your business. Otherwise, you will end up in a bad situation. Paid advertising is meant to bring you customers almost instantly. And for that, we have Google Ads, of course, our primary channel. That's what we teach here. Then we have Meta Ads, LinkedIn Ads, and Twitter/X. These channels, for me, they provide the best results out of different channels that I tried previously, especially Google and Meta. LinkedIn can be very expensive to start with. And on Twitter, sometimes you can get a lot of bot or junk traffic. So if you're just starting out and you have small budget, I would suggest to start out with Google Ads and Meta Ads. And of course, you can use retargeting in all of the 4 channels because it's relatively cheap. And the more channels you have to reach your clients and remind them that you exist, the better. That's for paid advertising. Then we have cold outreach. Cold outreach is very popular nowadays, and 2 main channels are LinkedIn and email. Basically, what you do, you either do this manually or you set up an automation. But when you apply automation, you should be very careful with your limits, how much you're sending, in order not to get banned on the platforms like LinkedIn or your email being sent into the blacklist. Be careful if you using automated systems. For cold outreach, you can find potential customers on LinkedIn. You can use Sales Navigator to do so. And then you send them a sequence of messages trying to onboard them as potential leads. It's important here to not overdo with personalization. Try to provide them value. Start with value. Send them something for free that actually brings value to them and it's important for them. And only afterwards you can try to offer your service, for example. It is relevant for LinkedIn and it is also relevant for emails. Emails you can get by scraping LinkedIn profiles, scraping the websites, relevant websites. You can buy actually websites, lists of potential customers. There's like tools on the market. We're going to discuss this in our masterclass as well. There are websites that allow you to buy big lists of websites in bulk based on some specific criteria. For example, you can buy a list of websites in United States that specialize in sports equipment, and they all have a Google Ads conversion tracking installed, for example. And then you can offer them your service because you know that's your potential clients right there. So there are interesting ways. I cannot expand this like in more detail over this video because we have separate videos for that. Currently, we're just talking about main strategy and important points in the sales funnel. And the last channel is offline. So offline is actually, it still works nowadays. You have a word of mouth. Your first customers are your best ambassadors. They can recommend you to other businesses, and this way you can get more clients. You can go to relevant events where your potential customers are. And social media. So social media is when somebody sends a direct message to you through your profile without visiting your website, going through your website blog, none of that. They just go straight into your DMs asking for help. And out of it, you can sometimes get a good leads. That's for the first stage in our funnel, the awareness. Now let's move on to the interests. So I'm going to scroll like this. All right, here we have the biggest resource of them all, your website. If you don't have websites, I don't know what you're doing in this video. I think online marketing is something that is not relevant for you. You should be watching other videos that are there in the internet on YouTube, because the website is the main core thing that we're trying to advertise. All of our business assets should evolve around website. Website is the most important asset that you have. And within this asset, there are many subcategories that we're going to cover now, and you can expand those categories as well. So let's start first of all. We have a subscription form. This is a form that you can implement at the footer of your website, in your blog section, or in a specific page that invites people to leave their email in exchange to getting some valuable content. And when people do so, when they leave their email, they're going straight into newsletter. So we're getting here a very nice audience list that could potentially, they could become our customers. And email marketing is actually one of the most top performing channels. Organic traffic and email marketing are the top channels. They have the highest conversion rates, period. In addition to subscription form, we have retargeting. Everyone that comes from either newsletter, social media, ads, and lands on the website, they can go into our retargeting audience list. This means that we can persuade them with paid ads across different channels, because we already paid money for them to arrive to the website, and it becomes very cheap and very logical to try to persuade them again. So when we're using retargeting, we can advertise our content. You can advertise your content, you can advertise your service. And in addition to that, try to add case studies and use graphs and tables, because people love graphs. Nobody likes long text, even in the ads. Don't use long text in the ads. Use like 1 to 2 sentence max. In Meta, in Google, it already limits you to 30 characters. People don't like to read. You need to catch their attention visually, so they would stop scrolling. And the best way to do so is through graphs and tables. That's about retargeting. Now let's move on to the right side. We have here 4 subcategories, and you can create more if you like, but these are the ones that I'm using personally. This system, what you see here, is actually what works for me as of this moment, and this is the system that I built over 10 years, something that is working. It's not theory, and you can use it. You can implement all of the things that I'm saying here, mentioning here, in your business, and you will see the results. In the website, we have lead magnets. Very, very important subcategory. I think this is the most important one, because if you think that you can take your potential customer, even if it's a relevant customer, and come to him on the first day with an ad, go buy my 5,000 retainer service. I don't think somebody is going to actually to pay, because they don't know you. It's a relatively high price for most of the businesses. And who the hell are you? The best way to build connection, to show value, build trust with your potential customers is through providing them with value. So blog, here we have blog content is one of the ways. The other way is lead magnet. When I talk about a lead magnet, what I mean is that you offer some kind of small item, small product. This can be a PDF, an ebook, something that can actually bring value. And in exchange, you're asking them to leave email address, the, the most basic thing. But you can also ask them about their company and stuff. But take into account that the more fields you provide in your lead magnet form, the less conversion rate will be. When you're providing lead magnets, in our industry, it can be Google Ads account audit. You can check it out on my site. That's actually what we're running at the moment. So we practicing what we preach here. It's the same system. We're offering different lead magnets, and after people leave their emails, first of all, they become leads. But before they become leads, they go into our newsletter where we try to persuade them, we provide them with more value, and only afterwards we offering them some kind of service. It is very crucial here. Never start with offering your service. Always start with providing value. Very important. Then we have webinars. This is something that we don't do at the moment, but it worked great. Then we have blog content. We talked about it previously. And service pages. Any kind of service that you're offering. In our case specifically, it's Google Ads, but it can be website development, design services, automation services, AI consulting services. Can be different things that are relevant for you. So this funnel is not just for Google Ads, even though that's the intent here. It can be also relevant if you offer different services. You can promote your services this way. And then we are coming to the part where people become leads. On one of these pages, all of these pages, basically, you have an option to have call to action. Make people leave the details. This can be contact us page, but you can also implement this form on different pages if you like. Basically, what we expect here is, let's say, in a flow that we advertise on Meta, somebody clicks on our ad, goes to the website, subscribes to our newsletter, gets 2 newsletters along the way. On the 3rd newsletter, we're offering the service. He clicks on the service, lands on the service page, and on the service page there is a form. He fills out the form and he becomes our lead. And this is where the 2nd and the 3rd stage, let's go up the funnel. This is where the 2nd and the 3rd stage, interest and consideration, ends. And my favorite, the sales process begins. Yeah. So that's the first half of the funnel that changed my business. But here's what I learned the hard way. Getting leads is actually the easy part. Converting those leads into paying clients who pay for many, many months and years, that's where most agencies today actually fail. The proposal templates that I have closed, the pricing strategies that eliminated lowball clients, and the onboarding system and the retention framework, all of that keeps my average client for over 2 years. And that's all we're going to cover in the second half. I spent a decade perfecting this through trial and error, so you don't have to. The complete system includes all the templates, the scripts, automations, and many, many, many more things of value that I personally use. It's inside our Google Ads Masterclass. If you're serious about building an agency instead of just being a freelancer running paycheck to paycheck, grab the 7-day free trial, link in the description. You'll get an access not just this funnel, but the entire business building framework that took me from broke freelancer to running a successful ad agency. And if this video helped you fill the gaps in your current process, hit that like, subscribe, because I share the real behind the scenes of building a marketing business every week on this channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.